It was a rare occurrence. The General Assembly enacted a new law, a new tax last year, and then repealed it this year before it ever took effect. The tax was on computer services, and people involved in that industry mounted a speedy and forceful lobbying effort in Annapolis. They turned out in force and won repeal of the tax at the very end of this year's legislative session. How did they do it, and are there any lessons for other groups with business before the state government? Joining us now are Tom Loveland, founder of the Maryland Computer Services Association and CEO of Mind Over Machines, and John Eckenrode, founder of the Maryland Computer Services Association as well, and president of CPSI. Gentlemen, thanks to both of you for being here. I guess first, congratulations, and second, John, did you think you were going to win?
No, not by any means. The landscape was very gloomy in December and well into January and early February. We thought we might get some meaningful amendments to solve some of the problems for some of the companies, but we didn't anticipate a full repeal.
Well, so Tom, how did you do it? How did you prevail?
By putting together a fabulous team, actually. And we knew from the get-go that we didn't know very much about Annapolis, and we needed to have the best counsel that we could get. And we also knew that we could very easily walk in with the wrong team and lose on day one and be ignorant to that point.
There also wasn't an association, right? There wasn't any platform for doing this. So first you had to organize the industry.
Right. So initially we just took a quick look around and we saw some of the players involved, and we recognized that this issue was just too important for us to stand by and hope that it worked, that other people took care of this for us. We had to pour our soul into this thing to make it happen. So we just, our first game was to get some lobbyists on board, and then we quickly realized we needed to have a statewide lobbying organization.
How big has the organization gotten? How many people or how many entities involved?
Yeah, a couple different ways to look at it. We've got some dozens of entities who've contributed some significant dollars to it, and hundreds of people who have used our tools for communicating with their legislators, and you know, a few thousand people anyway. Well, and it goes beyond that. There's another measurement as well, John. Many more thousands of people we've been in touch with.
Well, one of the things about the computer services industry is we use computers. So as an adjunct of that, we have huge databases of computer services professionals who work in and around Maryland. And
how hard was it to raise the money? Did you have a target? How much did you raise for this?
Tom? I'll go. Yeah, we had sort of a mental target, like a minimum, and we thought would be a wonderful budget, and we didn't know how successful we would be. We're raising money, putting together a team, trying to figure out Annapolis. People are asking, "Who are you guys? And why should we even get involved with you? How many are you going to be able to help?" It was it was a lot on our plate at the very beginning.
But you did hire a lobbyist, which can be a costly thing. More than one? Who did you have?
We, Bob Ensign and Tim Perry were fabulous. Bob was the godfather of our whole mission. We brought in Lisa Jones and
Kevin O'Keefe
as well.
So we had a team of 4 lobbyists.
And was there any danger of getting somehow in the middle of this political minefield where the Republicans were opposed to a lot of things that happened in the special session? The Democrats had sort of dug in. If you were aligned too closely with the Republican side, I would think you would have been in trouble.
Agreed. One of our concerns, well, from the get-go, it was very clear that this was a nonpartisan issue. Unfortunately, the first proposals in the general session were coming only from the Republican Party, so the press was every chance characterizing it as the Republican issue to repeal. So we were thrilled when Delegate Pendergrass's bill came out, and so that had a majority of the House signed up on that. So we killed the partisanship. Wow.
Let's talk about the merits for a second, and I imagine this is off the table for many years, but as more of the economy has become a service economy, the state has a desire to look elsewhere for tax revenue, and service businesses are an obvious place to expand the sales tax. Do you disagree with that logic, and do you think this will be revisited at some point?
No, not at all. We have become a service-based economy, and there is merit in looking at the service industries for tax revenue. Where we have a problem is when you zero in on just 1 or 2 businesses for a catastrophic 6% hit effective July the 1st. That would have had a really serious impact on the computer services industry in Maryland.
And more than just the industry, but it's called a computer services tax, but that's not because we pay it, it's our customers that pay for it. It would have had a terrible impact on every industry that uses computer services.
What about the threat that I don't know if your group was making, but it was certainly individuals in the computer services business were saying, you know, we work remotely. A lot of the computer stuff can be done from any part of the country or even the world. We're just going to move. I mean, was that a threat the group wanted to get involved with? No,
it's not a threat that we wanted to get involved with, and partially because there is a use tax component as well. So it's based on where the work is who purchases the work, and if you purchase it in Maryland, no matter where you buy it from, you're going to pay this tax. So a vendor moving out of state doesn't solve the problem completely. That was really a hard message to get across, but our real issue was that the Maryland customers, when they figure this out, they will find a way to get it, the services cheaper so they can pay less tax on it or avoid it, and the jobs, the work will flee the state. And therefore, our professionals will follow those jobs out of the state.
That was a big component, Jeff, relevant to large companies, especially the Fortune 500 companies. These folks would be very quickly able to alter their points of delivery out of state. Mm-hmm. For example, let me use a big company, IBM. They have offices in most every state, and they would have just moved their projects and moved their services points of delivery out of state. It was really the small companies and the small service providers that would have been boxed in with a 6% handicap.
And then other states were making noise that they were going to try to recruit
most certainly were.
Poach Maryland companies.
And particularly Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Delaware issued quite a number of letters to computer services firms.
So what have you learned? If there's anybody watching who has an issue that they want to advance or something that they'd like to roll back that the legislature's done, you know, have you guys written the plan here?
One thing that would definitely be go without stating, I think, and Tom would agree, would be that don't go it alone as an amateur, as a non-political person. Get the best help you can possibly afford, especially if you're in trouble. When you're in trouble, there's nothing more expensive than a cheap lobbyist or a cheap publicity team. So we really realized, I think, right from the get-go that we were noobs, we were babes in the woods, we were political neophytes, and we needed all the help we could get.
Does this make you cynical at all about politics, or how do you feel about it?
I'm not cynical at all. I actually spent a fair amount of my energy with our industry as well, with messaging and tone and so forth. And one of the messages I try to get across is just look at this. The House of Delegates had 1,500 bills this session. The Senate had 1,000. What mortal could possibly understand all this stuff, and we need to be involved. We really need to be down there and help them understand these things.
You know, while the process was different than maybe Tom or I anticipated, at the end of the line, the process did work, and we made a lot of friends, and we worked through the process in a very professional, civic, politically sensitive way, and got the job done.
That's a good place to leave it. John and Tom, I want to thank both of you for being here. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
And that is our program for this week. Join us every week at this time for the latest on Maryland politics. And remember, you can get updates on State Circle and all of our MPT programs by visiting our website at mpt.org. Now, for all of us here at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching State Circle, and have a good night.
State Circle is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you.
MPT's Public Square is made possible by our members and the following.